One of the things that was kind of curious on the map is they list Kidd's treasure. It was written in pen right there. Even back then, they believed that Captain Kidd's treasure was buried on Oak Island.
We're getting close.
You're getting about 3 inches.
Yeah.
As the Lagina brothers continue their quest to uncover this long-hidden fortune, a scientist makes a surprising discovery on the controversial island.
Today is the last day. There's no question about it.
This revelation astonishes critics who doubted the team's efforts and dedications. What did the scientists discover? And how will it affect the future of the treasure hunt? Join us as we reveal the groundbreaking discovery that has shocked the world. Number 1. Shocking discovery on Oak Island. A recent discovery has added another layer of excitement to the treasure hunting saga on Oak Island, particularly concerning the very evasive money pit. The source of excitement is a scientific survey by Dr. Ian Spooner, a geologist at Acadia University. He adopted a method known as X-ray fluorescence to examine and test the soil samples obtained from various parts of the money pit area. And the analysis results revealed a shocking discovery. The discovery is shocking to those who do not believe that Oak Island has any treasure, and to those who believe that the Lagina brothers are just wasting their time or staging a show. From the analysis results, it can be seen that some of the soil samples contained high amounts of silver. The discovery immediately sparked speculation that a substantial amount of silver coins or bars could be concealed beneath the island's surface. The importance of this discovery must be considered. It holds numerous opportunities and would open many doors when the silver is found. Silver has held jewelry, was jewelry, and had a great history as one of the most valuable and coveted metals throughout the ages. It has served as currency, adorned jewelry, was used in valuable art, and played a significant role in different historical narratives. Treasure hunters found many signs and signals in the way while trying to unearth the mysterious treasure on Oak Island. And the discovery of silver raises the possibility that these treasure hunters are on the verge of finding the origins of the signals and structures they encountered in the money pit area. Despite these significant parts of the treasure hunt, a great, unexplained shadow still looms over the island. This shadow is in the form of the mysterious curse of Oak Island. This curse has scared away many people who once decided to venture into the search for treasure. Is the curse that scary? Yes. The ominous legend suggests that 7 people would have to perish before the treasure was unveiled. The curse remains kind of obscure. However, whether the curse is genuine or merely a myth hinges on one's perspective. It is recorded that 6 people have undeniably lost their lives in the pursuit of this treasure and the secrets of Oak Island. These 6 tragic deaths have undoubtedly contributed to the mystique surrounding the curse of Oak Island and its eerie nature, leaving the curse as a compelling hunting facet of Oak Island. Is the curse really real? Is it a myth? No one can say for sure. And what exactly is the money pit? Number 2. The mysterious money pit. Since 2014, fans of the series titled The Curse of Oak Island have remained glued to their seats, watching the Michigan brothers, Rick and Marty Lagina, pursue one of the Western Hemisphere's most intriguing and eye-opening mysteries. Following in the footsteps of past treasure hunting hopefuls, including the 32nd President of the United States, Franklin D. Roosevelt, the Lagina brothers have been trying to unearth a hidden trove that is believed to have been buried more than 2 centuries ago on this small island off the coast of Nova Scotia. The said trove is a mouth-watering cache, rumored to be very valuable. It could be anything from pirate booty to the Holy Grail to even the Ark of the Covenant. Of all the spots on Oak Island where the brothers excavate, special attention is given to one spot generally known as the Money Pit. Through the centuries, this spot has yielded tantalizing relics, a mysterious inscribed stone, as well as numerous obstacles. The Money Pit, located on the east side of Oak Island, is a shaft more than 100 feet deep. According to island lore, the spot first drew the attention of a local teenager in the area in 1795, who noticed an indentation in the ground and with some of his friends started to dig, only to find a man-made shaft featuring wooden platforms every 10 feet down to the 90-foot level of depth. The slight problem is that the exact location of the shaft has been obscured after a haphazard expedition in the 1960s caused clay, seawater, mud, and other detritus to collapse into multiple holes dug around the original money pit. These days, the Lagina brothers excavate in spots that they hope are at least near the original pit, along with other locations around the island. And, just like many treasure hunters and old-timers before them, Rick and Marty have found their efforts truncated by apparent booby traps. The traps are tunnels dug into the ground at various depths. They're designed in such a way as to flood the shaft with water and prevent seekers from digging any further. According to the Oak Island Encyclopedia, for example, a 500-foot-long tunnel from nearby Smith's Cove ensures that as soon as the water is pumped out of the hold, it fills back up again. How these traps came to be is still an unanswered question. Another thing about Oak Island that has remained unanswered to date is how the treasure, which everybody is interested in, got there in the first place. Who was it that buried something on Oak Island and turned it into a treasure trove? Number 3. Treasure hidden on Oak Island. The treasure of Oak Island goes way back. The early accounts of the treasure were passed along as oral history from one generation to another up until the mid-1800s, when they were finally put down in writing. The details within the numerous reports vary, but of all the reports, the most accepted version is that of the teenager we mentioned earlier. This version states that, way back in 1795, a 16-year-old boy named Daniel McGinnis was out on a fishing expedition when he noticed a mark in an old oak tree and a nearby depression in the ground. He came to the conclusion that the scar was caused by a rope and tackle system. A rope and tackle system is used to lower something to the ground. Additional exploration revealed an ancient road built along the island's west side, and there was other evidence of a prior settlement in the area. Having found the intriguing site, McGinnis returned the following day with 2 friends, a few shovels, and pickaxes in hand. As they began to dig, the teenage boys discovered the mouth of a pit, which was 7 feet deep and had clay soil with pick marks. As they dug further down to a depth of 10 feet, they found thick logs. The boys were ill-equipped to go further, and so the digging was abandoned. 9 years later, they returned with the help of an old businessman who had believed the tales the boys had told, and work resumed on the island with more crew and better tools. While digging deeper, the team discovered that at every 10 feet, there were platforms of thick oak logs. When they dug to 90 feet, the dig finally revealed its first significant clue, a stone inscribed with strange markings, but none of the team members could explain them. Digging further into what later came to be known as the money pit, they sank a crowbar 5 feet and struck a hard substance. However, the sun had set, and the men went home with the idea of returning the following morning to retrieve the treasure they believed they had surely found. Remember the booby traps we mentioned? Sadly, as the sun rose and the men returned, they discovered the entire shaft filled with water. It was discovered that the original architects who had constructed the pit had built in the booby trap that the crew had unintentionally triggered. The frustrating part was that every attempt to pump the water out of the existing pit or create a new one alongside its predecessor failed, and the mission was subsequently abandoned. In 1865, there was a twist of luck when James Liechty, a professor of languages at Dalhousie College, was able to decipher the markings on the stone that the boys had found. This is the part where everything went crazy. He stated that the inscription read, 40 feet below 2 million pounds are buried. With that, interest in the hunt was renewed, and even people who had no prior interest had to recheck themselves as Oak Island became a treasure trove for many. Now, of course, questions would be asked about how this treasure got there. While there have been many theories about what lies beneath the ground on Oak Island and how it got there, initial speculation favored a treasure left by the infamous Captain Kidd. Number 4. Captain Kidd and the Oak Island treasure. Depending on who you ask, the most commonly assumed origin of the Oak Island treasure is that it may constitute the buried loot of the notorious Captain William Kidd. He was a pirate from Scotland in the 1690s who was rumored to have buried a huge treasure on one of his voyages. As to whether a portion of Captain Kidd's treasure was stashed on the island, the captain is the only major pirate figure for whom there is actual evidence of him hiding his treasure, specifically a hoard that he buried on Gardiner's Island off the eastern coast of Long Island. The theory of the Oak Island treasure being Captain Kidd's buried treasure first began with the story of an old sailor and soldier who lived on the coast of New England. The man was considered mysterious in his community because he was a recluse and often mute. However, on his deathbed, he told an interesting tale of his younger years. In his almost unbelievable stories, he alleged that he had been aboard the ship of Captain William Kidd and that he had helped Kidd bury $4 million in gold on an isolated island east of Boston. He claimed that he never revealed his secret or claimed the treasure because he feared that he would be captured and charged with piracy. Like Californian wildlife, the story spread rapidly amongst the early settlers of New England, and many of the nearby islands were turned upside down in search of the treasure, to no avail. It was these stories of pirates' treasure that Daniel McGinnis recalled when he stumbled across the tree and the depression in the earth on Oak Island. It is easy to see why the story easily came to mind. Oak Island, Nova Scotia, about 700 miles east of Boston. There is yet another theory about how the treasure that the Lagina brothers are seeking on Oak Island got there. Number 5. Maya, or Aztec treasure. Throughout history, it is well established that the peoples of the Americas possessed vast amounts of gold and silver, and these tremendous treasures were used for all manner of purposes. It would seem, however, that their fascination with these precious metals, in terms of monetary value, did lose to that of the Spanish, who sought to relieve them of it. This theory is that Oak Island became a depository for the Spanish conquerors of the New World back in the day, and the buried treasure belonged to the Incas, the Mayans, or probably the Aztecs, as long as they're Spaniards. If the treasure did arrive on the island from a Southern American location, it may help to explain the vast amount of coconut fiber present in the money pit, as well as on the beaches. It would not be the first time that a treasure galleon was blown far off course and needed to find shelter. Nor would it be difficult to imagine a corrupt system wherein a group of Spaniards were siphoning off some of the treasures from the New World and needed a repository to keep their loot safe. There is also another theory that says that Spain owns the treasure. However, instead of the entire Spain being the depositors, it was the Inca Empire itself that created the money pit and made the deposit, which is yet to be found to this day. This theory is an offshoot of a legend. According to this legend, the Spanish conquistador Francisco Pizarro was promised a room filled with gold after he spared the life of the Inca king Atahualpa, but decided instead to have the king garroted on July 26, 1533. One Ruminahui, the king's general, was on his way to deliver gold for the ransom when he learned that the king had been murdered. The general forgot about paying the ransom and dispatched porters east to uninhabited areas, where they later returned for more treasures to stash away. Legends suggest that the treasure had been hidden in a cave or dumped into a lake, but others suggest that it went to the far north, to a small island off the coast of Nova Scotia. The distance is quite unreasonable, given the circumstances in which they traveled to stash treasure, unless, of course, they took to the sea and a storm transported them to unfamiliar lands. Number 6. Marie Antoinette's jewelry. Remember our mention of Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States, and how he was into the treasure? Well, he has his own theory of its origins. He believed that the treasure comprised the missing crown jewels of France. This theory is built around the notion that King Louis XIV of France and Marie Antoinette were fleeing Paris with the missing jewels, as well as with their own private and personal gems, in June of 1791. However, they were captured at Varennes without the treasures and jewels. The story is that a lady-in-waiting escaped with them. She made her way across the Atlantic Ocean to the fortress of Louisbourg. From there, the idea is that the jewels were stashed away somewhere secure, which of course is the Oak Island money pit. Theorists have noticed a problem with this theory. The problem is in the timeline. The jewels would have had to have been hidden somewhere between the Paris feast in 1791 and the money pit's discovery in 1795. With Halifax expanding and the southern shore of Nova Scotia seeing population growth and sea traffic, it seems unlikely for this theory to be a viable contender. Number 7. The Knight Templars and the Oak Island treasure. The Templars, which existed between 1129 and 1312 Crusades, were one of the wealthiest and most powerful organizations in Europe. Members of the order were revered as skilled fighters during the Crusades, and other members were known and respected for their economic prowess and the innovative financial techniques they introduced into businesses. As powerful as they were, their undoing came when King Philip V of France, who at that time was deeply indebted to the order, made an order for the arrest of key Templar leaders in 1307. The Pope followed suit on November 22nd, when he issued a decree that all Templars be arrested and their assets seized. According to legend, many Templars fled to Scotland to take refuge there. That didn't just fly empty-handed. They took with them priceless religious treasures, including the Holy Grail, from their sanctuary at the fortress of Montségur. The genuineness of this event has been in doubt for years until the writing of a book by Michael Bradley titled Holy Grail Across the Atlantics, which presents enticing evidence that such an event indeed occurs. In turn, this led to a possible role played in the mysterious Oak Island money pit. It is also worthy to note that the Templar order continued in Portugal as the Ordem Militar de Cristo, meaning Military Order of Christ. King Denis I of Portugal refused to follow the orders of the Pope, and instead, he simply changed the order's name. A Portuguese explorer named João Álvares Fagundes was said to have visited Nova Scotia around the year 1521. In 1607, Samuel de Champlain found an old moss-covered cross near what is now Advocate, Nova Scotia, which some believe was erected by Fagundes 80 years earlier. Another connection shows that the Templars would be aware of the existence of these lands. The late Zena Halpern, a Knights Templar researcher from New York and previously mentioned in regard to the inscribed stone, also introduced a map with strong evidence linking the Templars to Oak Island. Only time will tell if these two are indeed connected or not. Number 8. Sir Francis Bacon's manuscripts. Have you ever heard that William Shakespeare's books were written by someone else? Sir Francis Bacon is an enigmatic character, which seems perfectly suited to his fascination with ciphers and codes. Baconians and his devotees are known to contend that he was the author of Shakespeare's works, but not just Shakespeare's, but other contemporary writers too. The reason this claim still lacks merit is because original manuscripts have never been found, but they are thought to be hidden in a chamber beneath Oak Island. It is said that Francis Bacon stated that he would be known for who he really was long after his death. The theories of the origins of Oak Island treasure are not finished. There's this theory that says that the treasure is a church. Number 9. Missing treasure of St. Andrew's Cathedral. Some people believe that the money pit holds treasure from the ancient Cathedral of St. Andrews in Scotland. During the time of Cromwell, the wealthy were suppressed, and items such as ecclesiastical plates, gold, silver, gems, and goods stolen from the English found their way to the cathedral. In 1560, there was a sudden disappearance. The vast amount of reserves allegedly held there were not to be found and were never recovered. After the sudden and mysterious disappearance of the church, it is claimed that this treasure found its way to Oak Island. Although this theory seems unreasonable, while the reasoning behind crossing the Atlantic and burying them on an isolated island off Nova Scotia is unclear, it isn't entirely impossible. Whatever the origin of the treasure, the story of how it came to the island and ended up being buried there remains shrouded in secrecy. In the centuries since, it's been quite hard to tell fact apart from myth, since most of the island's treasure hunting history has been perpetuated largely through hearsay and speculation. There's also the likelihood of treasure seekers spreading false information to throw others off the scent, seeing that treasure seekers are not thrown off by the numerous theories surrounding it. It does not come as a surprise that different things have been found on the treasure hunt. The Michigan brothers, Marty and Rick Lagina, and their team of treasure hunters have been digging around a Nova Scotian island for about 8 years on the popular show, The Curse of Oak Island. And in 8 years, they've had 9 seasons. During this 9-season run, the Lagina brothers have been on a constant search for the hidden treasure, perhaps buried on the island by pirates, the British military, ancient French monarchs, or even the Knights Templar. In the course of their search, the Lagina brothers, along with metal detection expert Gary Drayton, have mostly found mud, wood, and various metal tools. However, they, along with an assortment of science and archaeological experts, have made a surprising amount of other discoveries hidden throughout the 140 acres of land said to be a cursed island. Did they find anything valuable, though? Number 10. Gold in the hatch. Absolutely. In one show episode, the treasure hunt team went deeper into the island's heart, on a mission to uncover the secrets hidden beneath Oak Island. As they dug further, they became more puzzled by the island's mysterious history, and the thought of finding a hidden tunnel, maybe even deep at the very bottom of the pit, excited them. They knew they were on the brink of something important, a discovery that could change everything. They eagerly waited for that aha moment when everything finally clicked. They were determined not to give up, believing that the answers they sought had been right in front of them all along. The team could sense themselves getting closer to discovering something huge, with each step bringing them closer to the island's mysteries and uncovering treasures that had been buried. It wasn't just the team hoping for a breakthrough. Rick, Marty, Lars Nien, and archaeometallurgy expert Emma Culligan presented their findings at the Oak Island Interpretive Center. They grouped themselves, hungry for knowledge about the island's history and eagerly awaiting a scientific report. Hopefully, this could be a breaking point that brings them closer to a massive discovery. The XRF results from DN 11.5 deduced the presence of a tunnel, which was an amazing find for them. A moment that meant that all their efforts would lead to success and bring them to the final door. The room was filled with tension and hope as the group gathered to hear the findings. The XRF analysis of DN 11.5 produced results that perfectly matched their expectations. The brilliant specialist in archaeometallurgy, Emma, drew up a thrilling conclusion based on her study of their findings. After carefully inspecting a piece of dried wood collected from the passageway using an X-ray spectrometer, she discovered traces of the typical materials found on Oak Island. On the island, there was a lot of iron, manganese, titanium, calcium, potassium, and aluminum. While these are all common things, she continued her thorough study of the results, leaving everything to be turned in. This was when things got interesting. She came across an unexpected find, which was gold. When they realized that the piece of wood they were analyzing contained traces of this precious metal, their excitement knew no bounds. What was gold doing there? And it was a very big outliner, which was very remarkable. The team couldn't help but ask Emma if finding gold was unexpected in the results. With a light chuckle, Emma confirmed that finding gold was indeed unusual based on the results she presented to the team. As they analyzed the sample, they made a surprising discovery. The amount of gold was about 0.0004% of the total weight. Let's glance at some of the treasure hunt team's other discoveries. Number 11. The Knight Templar Coin. In the 5th episode of the 2nd season of The Curse of Oak Island, titled The 90-Foot Stone, the discovery involved a small coin found 3 episodes earlier. Initially believed to be a Maravedi coin, Gary Drayton and his team made a more intriguing discovery upon close inspection. After cleaning up the coin, Tony Sampson, a treasure hunter and diver, noticed a unique cross design on one side. This cross looked like the symbol associated with the Knights Templar, the group we had ruined earlier in the 13th century, known for establishing one of the earliest international banking systems. What started as the discovery of a small Spanish Maravedi coin now seemed like a possible link to a significant Knights Templar treasure hidden somewhere on Oak Island. It cleared a little doubt as to whether the treasure was buried there by the Knight Templars. This finding introduced a new twist to the Oak Island story, suggesting a connection to a famous medieval group with a strong financial influence. The idea that the coin could be connected to the Knights Templar added mystery and excitement to the ongoing search for treasure. Number 12. Maravedi Copper Coin. In the last episode of the 1st season titled The Find, while searching through a swamp, metal detection expert Steve Zazulik stumbled upon a coin with 8 engraved. It was later identified as a Spanish 8 Maravedis copper coin, most likely from the 17th century. In the premiere of Season 2, titled Once In, Forever In, the coin was cleaned and examined, revealing the year 1652 engraved on the other side. Further analysis of the coin revealed that it had been lost in the swamp for hundreds of years and not recently planted. All the signs pointed to this being a legitimate historical discovery, the first of many throughout the show. The significance of this discovery is that it showed that the brothers were on the right track. Could this simple copper coin be evidence of hidden pirate wealth? I guess we'll have to wait and see. What are your thoughts about these scientific discoveries? Let us know in the comments. Thank you for watching. Remember to like and subscribe to see more videos.